Steve Gamache here with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video. This time we're looking at the Kohetsu SLD Santoku 170mm knife. This line of knives has a core steel of what's known as SLD semi-stainless tool steel. It's labeled semi-stainless because the chromium content is could be slightly under, I think it's like 11 to 13%, and I think we have to have 13 or 13.5 to be considered, quote, stainless steel. So it's almost stainless steel, and if you care for it in any reasonable manner, it should, in effect, act like stainless steel, and it is only the cutting edge itself, the core steel, that is the semi-stainless steel. The heat treat rating is 61 to 62 Rockwell. And the construction, again, is a stainless cladding over the top of that core steel. So the cladding is softer, low-maintenance stainless, and then the core steel is right on the edge of being stainless, but they'll officially call it semi-stainless SLD. This is a pretty shiny blade, so it's going to be a little hard to show that, but there is a delineation line, although it's kind of hard to pick up on the core versus the cladding on this knife. It is there, though. The weight on this knife is 128 grams or 4.5 ounces, and the blade length is right around 170. This one's slightly under. These will vary just a little bit from knife to knife, these dimensions. Overall length's about 12 inches on the blade, the entire blade, including the handle, and the spine thickness above the chin heel area right coming out of the handle is about 3¼ millimeters, but it tapers down off of that, and then this knife has a pretty nice taper down towards the tip, especially when you hit the generous grind on the generous blade road or blade path on this knife to the tip. The height on this blade is pretty generous as well at 48.8 millimeters from spine to the chin area at the heel here. And the handle, it's nothing special. It's a basic D-shaped wood handle with a plastic ferrule. It reminds me a lot of what they put on some of the Goko knives, and this one doesn't have the same kind of chestnut finish on it, but it's nothing special. It's got decent feel to it. You've got the wood's higher than the plastic, but it's got a pretty nice feel in the hand, and it's substantial enough. It's a short handle, but it's a short knife as well. The handle is actually pretty substantial in terms of the circumference. It's about 3 1/16, so it's a good size handle, but you've got a little bit of room here to stick your finger for a pinch grip. The neck's not too thick. Fit and finish on the knife is actually excellent. It's a very interesting blade. It's got kind of a lattice work pattern to the blade face. And what that does is actually makes this blade pretty non-stick. I was very impressed with the stickiness or non-stick properties of the blade going through things like potatoes and stuff where things can just get sucked onto the blade. And this along with the Nakiri were pretty impressive in that respect. So hopefully you can catch that finish on there. You've got a very generous blade road here, grind down to the edge, and this knife is a good performing knife. It really is. There's your blade edge profile. It's a gentle curve throughout the entire blade, not real super flat at the heel, but more of a constant radius curve to it. And it's quite thin at the edge. This is a blade that performs, as I mentioned, very, very nicely. This is no slouch on ingredients, so I really found it enjoyable to use this knife. It went through everything extremely well. Like I said, had pretty good non-stick properties. The balance point on the knife is just about right on the money for a pinch grip. So it is light at 4.5, but it feels really nimble as well. It's a stiff blade. It's really stiff, actually, and so it's got a nice substantial feel to it on the board. And again, it's pretty tall. There's no issues with knuckle clearance here whatsoever. And let's get our handy-dandy board here to show you the profile on a cutting board. So you can see there's not a long flat spot. It's just a gentle curve throughout the entire blade. It's a fabulous rocker if you like to do that. If you want a long, flat, Santoku, excuse me, this is not quite your blade, but it's a nice performing knife. So tall for scooping up ingredients if that's your style of things to do. The out-of-the-box eggs actually was pretty good on this. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. They're pretty darn sharp out of the box. They didn't have much tooth or bite to the edge. I ran it on a Suhirio, sorry, I'm having trouble today with my diction. Suehiro Rika 5K stone, just very briefly, and sharpened up really nice. The steel sharpened up quite well, and I can't remark on edge retention because I don't use these long enough to do that, but this is a really solid addition to Mark's handled, basically stainless Santoku lineup. So for the money, this is a solid performing knife. So there you have the Kohetsu SLD Santoku 170mm blade.